Don't forget to subscribe on Books on Toast, otherwise you'll remain completely ignorant, and when you go into a party to have a conversation, you will not have a starting line. Books on Toast, that's where you need to be.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Books on Toast channel. We are very excited for this super special interview because it's only courtesy these two legends that we are here at the Jaipur Literature Festival. It is our day 3 of doing fantastic interviews and we've had just the best time ever.
Fantastic interviews, and where to find them? JLF. Sorry.
At JLF. Okay, and so joining us today is Namita Gokhale, author, and also the program director of the festival director of JLF, and Sanjoy Roy, who is the MD of Teamworks and the man behind all the madness which is ensuing. So thank you so much for doing what you guys do. It is really a toast to you guys for putting all of this together tirelessly year after year. And so congratulations on its 13th edition this year. 12th edition this year. Okay. And how's it been going so far for you this year particularly?
Well, the first day was a bit of a challenge because, as you know, it rained and our audiences stayed wet rather than move away from listening to the great writers. And with that, the rain thing over and the weather forecast clear, our audiences have been more enraptured than ever before. And I think it's been it's too early to say before the last day is out, but I'd say it's one of our best years ever. Don't you think so, Sanjoy?
Absolutely. First, many congratulations to Books on Toast. I think you guys have been doing an amazing job in the literary space and really made it come alive. So congratulations. Love the name. Great catchword. And to add to what Namita said, I think what's amazing about this year is one of those years where everybody who William and Namita invited sort of said yes. And we have this mega list of over 500 speakers. Everybody from, as you've seen, Ben Okri to Jeffrey Archer, to people like Priyamvada Natarajan and Manoranjan Vyapari. And that's really the strength of this, where you get so many different voices coming together and woven into a program, which is obviously Namita's key skill set. How do you make a program exciting and wonderful?
So, Namita and Sanjoy, both of you, you do this and you do multiple things, right? And there are international editions of GLF happening. I believe New York, Houston, Adelaide, South Bank, one more. Boulder, yeah. And you consult on the Bhutan Mountain Echoing Mountains Festival, right?
Mountain
Echoes.
I'm the founder of that.
The founder, yes. And I mean, of course, you're also a writer, and you're the MD of Teamworks, and you guys do like what, 25 cities?
26 festivals in 41 cities in 11 countries.
That's nuts. And I wake up in the morning sometimes and I'm tired.
Well, at least I wake up every morning saying I'm tired. But this man, he has some potion, one of those asterisk potions. He never gets tired.
Being tired and being jet lagged is a luxury that I can't afford. So there's no tired, there's no jet lag. We need to focus and we carry on doing what we have to do. But remember, at the end of the day, Namita is one, so she does her writing and so on and so forth. I have a lot of people who actually do the actual work. All my colleagues in teamwork, there's over 100 of them. So I only do the blah blah. They're the ones who actually do the work.
Yeah, but you're the one who, I'm not trying to be too nice to you, but you're the one who inspires them and gives them the great thing about Teamworks is that there are all these young people who are just thrown into the deep end and they swim. And it's very inspiring for me to be with so many very gutsy, very talented young people. It's a lot of reverse mentoring from them.
But I think for all of us, it's about learning. I mean, we learn from each other, we fight. A lot of the times we learn from them, they learn from us, so it's very much a sharing. None of this is about handing down that this is the way to do something, because when you're trying to break the mold, it's really about many ideas coming together in a melting pot, and that melting pot, when you create in this magical way, that's when the magic actually happens. So it's not didactic, it's not one point of view or a particular perspective, it's many perspectives being presented.
It's a very open process where in the beginning I, to speak for myself, listen into all that I can. People write to me, people suggest to me. I've been sitting in the author's lounge in the last 2 days and getting ideas which I'm noting in the back of my notebook, which I'll then in Delhi, I'm a handwritten person, I'll transfer to the back of yet another notebook, and then we'll keep making these lists and these lists and these lists. Sanjoy travels a lot and he'll send me suggestions. And absolutely inspirational ideas from people he encounters. William has his own wonderful ideas, so it comes together. But it's the audiences that are so invested in it that add the element of being completely participatory.
Which is the session yesterday we were both in and somebody said something and I looked at you and both of us instantly said, that's a great idea.
Yes, Piyush Mishra.
Oh, Piyush Mishra.
Well, somebody was saying, I mean, and there was also the Northeast and Southwest. So we listen in, and by now all of us, at least 4 or 5 of us, it's as though we live in a tick case or something, you know. We pick up each other's thoughts immediately. There's very sort of little privacy in that joint area of, it's like a Google share in our brains. We don't have to have it on record.
So you just look, it's an exchange and you know you're thinking about the same thing.
Okay, so when you look back over this journey that you've made together, taken together over the last 13 years, if you could just recall from just the top of your mind, the top moments that have happened over these 13 years, the things that have opened your eyes, the things that have truly inspired you.
Well, it's a bit difficult to come up with the best because every year there's so many thoughts. But for me, one of the moments I've never forgotten is when Mahashweta Devi came on the stage and she gave those lines. She said, the freedom to dream should be the first and most fundamental right. And that's something that has stuck to me because that is what we empower people to do. We give them the freedom to dream. And apart from that, every year has yielded so many great writers. Gloria Steinem was so inspirational. She would just be hanging around the chai shop and people would be chatting with her. But there's no end of the wonderful writers. So I would be not fair to list them out right now.
I think my seminal moment was, I think maybe year 1 when Nayanthara Sehgal at the end of her session said something so profound, and she talked about how writing was really at the edge and everybody had to protect that space. And today many people target and burn books, etc. And that was her sort of looking into the distance. And the very next day there was people who burnt Namita's book at the end of the festival in protest on something or the other. And my whole thing was, I hope they're actually buying it from the bookstore because her sales will go up because you need a lot of books to buy, in a bonfire. But unfortunately, that's not what they did.
Just old textbooks, I'm sure. But the thing is, Nayanthara's speech was lovely. It was an opening address, I remember, and she'd called it climate change. And the climate was not just the geographical climate, but also the cultural climate. And a lot of young writers come in, but some of the older writers have been the ones who have given most profoundly. And Nayanthara has always been a guiding star for this festival.
And apart from that, there are hundreds of, what we remember, you never tend to remember all the wonderful things. You always remember all of what's happened. Each year is defined by its trauma. And certainly for us, the year that Salman Rushdie was supposed to come, and there was a huge brouhaha about it. For me, it was a huge learning because there we were sitting with 21 different organization heads from the Muslim community. And while I certainly think I'm a liberal, and presumably Namita thinks as well, but yet the first time I realized that our lives never, ever crossed each other. I mean, they came from a completely different space from us, and it was a huge, huge learning. And there we were in this conundrum because we were trying to fight for the freedom of expression, the fact that we were trying to get Salman Rushdie to come to the festival. And at the same time, we were made to understand yet again how delicate the balance is and how difficult it is for minority communities today to be able to define themselves, and that fact that nobody really listens to their issues and they're painted as the other and everybody thinks that that's okay.
That's true. I mean, I think that was a big defining moment for all of us sitting at home also, just being so pained by the process, because we sometimes tend to forget that culture cannot be isolated with the political climate of the country, and in our country it's so entwined. So having said that, are there like big traumas that you guys feel like, you have not seen this year or maybe coming up, and I hope they don't come up, but...
As Namita said, the first day was rain, but over 3 years ago, everything was rained out, and ever since then, we've had everything waterproof. So all our cabling, all the tenting. So Sunil was saying, bring on the rain. So the rain was the least of the issues.
No, but it was a challenge. It was a challenge which we faced and passed with flying colors, because it didn't disrupt anything.
But what was the biggest one is earlier that day, a whole tree cleaved in between. And I took a selfie with this gentleman. I turned around and walked a few steps. That gentleman was still there, and this tree fell. And it wasn't a branch, and it wasn't, a dead tree. It was a living tree that cleaved. So how do you deal with emergencies like that? But it also gets you then to look at the system. How long did it take for the first aid to reach the person? What happened in the hospitals, etc. And all of the false news that then emanates out of an incident like that, because everybody loves to have a story in GLF. So all we saw next day was the tree fell and this one didn't get that one. And I'm like, and I think you were subjected to something like this just earlier today, when they asked you, nonsensical questions.
I was in fact in a session around my new anthology on Radha, the co-edited anthology, and there were all kinds of wonderful people on stage. And then you heard the thunder and you saw the lightning, and the people in the audience said, Sham aa gaye, Krishna ji aa gaye. And so that was just nice to know that they all felt the presence of Vrindavan and the old Mughal paintings there.
But the readers are such a passionate bunch of people, right? I mean, we don't get opportunities to do this, to have all our favorite authors under one waterproof roof.
But I think it's not just about readers. A lot of the people, as you know, 80% of this 500,000 footfalls that we get over 5 days are below the age of 30.
Yes.
And not everybody has come necessarily because they know Colson or they know Ben Okri. They've come perhaps sometimes for the pizza and for a selfie and so on and so forth. But hopefully they go away having stumbled upon a session. And the kind of questions, all the authors keep telling us, my God, young people in India are so intelligent and bright. We would never get the quality of questions that your young people ask of us anywhere in the world in any literary festival.
I was talking to Sir Venki Ramakrishnan, the Nobel laureate, today, and he said that his greatest takeaway was, he says, the future of India is safe. If we have young people like this, as he's encountered in the audiences here, it is secure. And he said this to the press, and he will say this when he goes back to London. But the Salman Rushdie year, one of the sweetest things was that a lot of policemen disappeared, and the police head said, where are they? They said, sir, wo Gulzar ko sunne gaye hain.
I do. We've been walking around, and there have been so many young kids,
people,
like college kids and school kids, and it's so heartening. And I'm like, I really hope they're buying something or they're taking something.
Well, one of my dreams is to help to set up a public library in Jaipur, because everybody can't buy and everybody can't access, and the feel of a book is the feel of a book.
Forget reading. You said, I hope they're buying books. We have the youngest person who we are presenting on our stage here in Jaipur is 10 years of age. Wow. Last year, the youngest person was 13 years of age. And this person of 10 years had been coming to JLF for the Jaipur festival for about 5 years and was inspired. The day before the festival, I went to give awards at the Tankariya College, Women's College, and they brought this young kid suddenly, and I was feeling ambushed. And it was a kid 7 years old. And I then looked at the book that he had produced. I have never seen such a brilliant piece of literature. And then I said, there's no way that, somebody 7 years old could have written this. The mother brought me his diary in which he had written by hand and drawn what is now in this book. Incredible. So, and he had been inspired by coming from the age of 5 with his parents to the Jaipur Literature Festival and wrote the book wrote the book over a period.
And I keep telling the young writers, in fact, I try to discourage them. I say, no, you have to read before you write. But one of the writers who's come, she sent me a backgrounder, and I saw, and she had self-published in Amazon. And she said, ma'am, now I want to turn to traditional publishing. I mean, they are savvy, they know it, and the world is changing.
Yeah, and so we have to wrap up. So I'm just going to ask 2 quick questions. The first one is, how do you curate how do you select the speakers and the authors that are coming, and how long is that process?
Well, I've already begun taking notes. I have a long list of notes, which when I get back to Delhi, I'll put into yet another notebook. I have a succession of Jaipur, Boulder, whatever notebooks. And then I'll see what fits together into a mosaic. And it's a very intuitive process, also a lot of whimsy. Because, otherwise it's very easy to slot in things into the obvious things. So I look for what may intrigue not only the audiences, but the speakers themselves.
And it's also an 18-month process. If you look at the back of our brochure this year, you will see, though the date is wrong, you'll see next year's list. The first list has already been published for 2020, and the dates are in place. And all our festivals work like this.
And I've sent invitations to all those people, but to a few more, and then hold on to a few. So it's sort of cautious craziness.
Cautious craziness is a great phrase. Yes. I'm going to get a t-shirt that says that. Yes, that's who we should be. And so what plans for next year? What new things can we expect?
I'm looking at bringing a lot of science and technology and to the arts, because unless they flow together, we have a lot of looking back in the past. I work on mythology, William works on history. It's wonderful. We have a lot of political and current today's things. We got to look to the future, and we have to equip our young readers and our young audiences and the old to realize that change, the future is now, as they say.
I hate the word new. What's new? Every time a press person asks me, "Is saal kya naya hai?" I want to throttle that person. Naya? Look at the incredible amount of writing out there. When there are new books, why don't people look at that as the naya? Why is it ki is saal naya kya hai? Everything is new, it's fresh, it's interesting. It doesn't matter whether Gulzar comes here for the 4th or the 5th time. Each time he comes, he will present a different perspective. That's the newness about it.
So the newness in my life has been that I have been reprimanded on screen by Jeffrey Archer and now Sanjoy. So I've had a great time.
Oh, that's how we grow. These are called growing pains in Oya. Okay, thank you so much for your time, Namita and Sanjoy. And I completely hope and wish that for the next 20 years, multiple generations of this country are exposed to the Jaipur Literature Festival, and they only grow smarter.
And as long as you keep doing this, we'll keep coming and we'll keep talking about how amazing it is.
I hope we grow smarter too.
Yes. And I hope Books on Toast continues to do its seminal work in being able to take this message out, an extremely important message, getting it out through the right medium to all of these 100,000s of young people. May your tribe grow, and may the tribe who believes in education and knowledge and literature continue to grow with you all.